Board Special Call Meeting, August 7th, Board Review Meeting, August 12th, Board Regular Meeting Minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions about those? All in favor? Thank you. Motion passes. Item 4B, Trustee District Review, Trustee Travel Report. There is none. Item 2, discussion and consideration of capital improvement plan for the Columbus Municipal School District. Mr. Stephen Little. Good evening.
Good evening.
You should have reports in front of you. Go down on the maintenance report for the athletic complex. We did go under the bleachers. We had some wash nets under there before the first home game. We stayed out there pretty much most part of the week of the first home game, edging the grounds, cleaning everything up, just get you ready for the first home game. We did paint the goalposts for the first game. We added lights to the back of the home bleachers to light that area up by the concession stand and bathrooms a lot better. We did have a problem with some lights at the old soccer field, but we've got that fixed. Like I said, we went back through after the first home game and checked all the buildings just to see if anything quit working or was torn up or anything like that, but everything looked good. And that's pretty much all I have right now.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Little, you remember when we did the tour where the home concession stand is, between the home concession stand and behind the bleachers, where they store the equipment, I think it's a tractor, some lawnmowers. We discussed installing another security light there. You call what I'm referring to?
That right there is where we added 2 more lights.
So they already have been added.
We added 2 on that end. We took 2 of the lights that were up there, took them down and put LED lights. And then down at the other end, we put LED lights. And got them positioned where they will hit down right there and they will kind of shine out in the parking lot there. Yeah. And we do have, it got approved for the fencing area, right there where the lawnmower and everything sits. We're going to put a taller fence and put the curtains around it. So that Coach Harris got that to me, and I keyed it in last week and it got approved. So they'll start working on that pretty soon.
Thank you. Ms. Dr. Schumake?
Mr. Little, I just wanted to thank you for updating that capital improvement chart because I'd sort of lost track where we were on the ESSER project, so I really appreciate your updating it. Thank you.
I did have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Little, were the board supposed to get back with you on the sale sign? I saw there was a question mark out here.
Where it says it above the
Uh-huh.
on up there, yes. In the past, we took one down at Union like that, and it left holes up there, so we had to replace all that. Of course, we did add new signs back to Union, but when we take that down, we'll have to tear all that out and replace the wood.
Okay.
If it's like the others.
Can it be, it can't be repaired? We have to just take it down. Is it rotten?
No, there's not anything wrong with it. It's just it's kind of hard to see, and I think that was the discussion that we had. It was kind of useless having it right there because that awning goes right up there and it kind of covers it.
Covers it up.
You stand way back, you can see it. Up close, it kind of gets lost under that canopy.
Okay, so it's not damaged or anything like that. We could possibly just leave it.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Little.
Have a good evening.
You too. Item 3, discussion of the Hunt Campus Recovery, review of expenditures and reimbursement, payments for projects. Mr. Taylor Gill.
Good
afternoon. How y'all this afternoon?
Great. And
afternoon.
you?
Good. Been at the Hut School all afternoon long. It's really coming along. Uh, it's the gym looks like night and day. The gym's been painted. I showed Dr. Shoemaker some pictures I took of the gym. Gym looks great. The AC is actually working. Gym's nice and cool. They're going to start the flooring on the gymnasium on Monday. The flooring will have to be set in the gymnasium and acclimate to the humidity in it for a couple of weeks. But the flooring will start next week on the gymnasium. The bleachers are scheduled for October 21st to be delivered, depending on the floor. So the gymnasium is in great shape. The main classroom building, they were sanding all the floors, all the concrete to put the floors down. They should finish that. They're waiting on all the sanding and dust to be finished before they start the AC units in the classroom wing. Hopefully that's done by the end of the, that'll be done by the end of this week. So starting next week, they'll have all the AC working in the original building, and they'll start putting the floors down in that original building next week. The annex building, and the painting is going well. The original building is being painted. The hallways are all painted. It really looks good, even with all the conduits and new data. All that's painted white with the ceiling, so it really looks good. The bricks all cleaned up. The concrete's painted, so that really looks good on that. The windows are all complete throughout the building. All the windows are complete. All the permanent power that we had additional funds spent on, all that permanent power has been installed and is working. The drywall has been hung and finished. So that the classroom has been painted. They look really nice. The cooler has been installed in the kitchen area. The food service equipment that's been installed. They're working on the annex building as far as the electrical lights. I think this time, I think the annex building, they'll start those floors in that annex building in about 2 weeks, I think, is scheduled to start the floors there. Where they'll start the floors in the main building, original building, next week. It'll be another couple of weeks when they start the annex floors. All the exterior doors will be scheduled to be delivered end of this month. They're all the impact resistant doors that the FEMA's paying for. They'll start this next month. They'll start the exterior sidewalks. And really just kind of finishing things up, but it's really looking good. They're on schedule to finish the original building, cafeteria, gymnasium, the first of November, and annex will be close behind there. So by this year they'll be finished with everything as far as schedule goes. No issues as far as fabrication, deliveries, everything should be on schedule. It is looking good. I would encourage Dr. Ellis to get a tour for the board maybe sometime in the near future. Like the board, I think they'll really be impressed to see what they see there. That's it though. It's looking good. No issues. No more breaking, vandalism at all. Everything's looking good. So, questions?
Yeah.
Or?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What type of renovation will be done to the stage?
The stage it looks nice now. We have all new lights on the stage. All that's been painted black above it, so it's all blacked out there. We have new lights. We'll have new stage floors. We have rails go up to the stage. We actually will put a wood trim on the face. The stage is actually a concrete stage, and on the face of the concrete, you've got the concrete block below it there. We'll put a nice wood strip along the face of that right meets there and turn around by itself. The stage curtains have been taken down and saved. People want to pay for new curtains, but we do have the old curtains. Hopefully they'll be able to hang back up.
Are the curtains that expensive?
They are.
They can be. A lot of times those curtains have to be fire rated, and that's where they get expensive, having the fire rated curtains. I don't, but we can certainly get a price, and by the next board meeting, I'll get an estimate of what it would cost if we want to pursue it, so. But it's looking nice, the stage will be nice, it really will be. And the bleachers and everything, it's gonna be really, really nice, that gymnasium. They do have the backboards, it goes up already there, the nice glass backboards are up, so the equipment will have pads on the walls, be included in there.
So have it started installing the lockers?
Excuse me?
Have it started installing the lockers in the dressing room?
The dressing rooms, we had the restrooms behind the bleachers and the locker rooms behind that, but they're doing the finish, they're doing the flooring and painting and everything in there, so.
Any more?
But it's looking real, it's from this time last month, this month, it really with the painting going on and the AC turned on, and next month with the flooring being put in, it's really turning around, so it looks nice. And the windows, it's hard to, when you look at those new windows, you drive by it and you always had the same windows, but the windows are so much nicer and newer, it's really nice, so it really looks good.
They look good. And the city did install the lights around the building.
Yeah.
They look really good
Yeah.
at night.
And the gym looks nice. The gym has the new LED lighting, and it's really fabulous, really bright in there. It really looks nice. So we got a lot of upgrades just because everything's new.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Item 4, contract renewals updates.
Dr. Brown, are there some transactions that need to be approved? Holly, it said
She
transactions.
didn't give,
No, I know, okay.
no, there weren't. I wasn't given any. Thank you. Item 4, contract renewals updates. You've had a chance to look at those. Are there any questions about those? Okay. Item 5, consideration and/or discussion to approve the board to attend the Mississippi MSBA Fall Leadership Conference in Ridgeland, Mississippi on November 18th and 19th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Young. Any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 6 is the consideration and/or discussion to approve the board to attend the MSBA Annual Conference in Flowood, Mississippi on February 24th through the 26th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 7 is the discussion of the 2025 Mississippi School Board Association Legislative Survey. We each have that survey, and we will I'll read each item. Then I'll allow everyone to give us your vote or thought about it. And Dr. Schumach will keep a tally. Number 1 is the legislative that would allow open enrollment for students to attend the school of their choice, regardless of residency. Mr. Smith.
Opposed.
Dr. Schumach.
Opposed?
I oppose. Mr. Richardson? Ms. Young?
Oppose.
Item 2, legislative that will require all school board members to be elected. I'll start with Dr. Schumach.
Opposed?
I oppose. Mr. Richardson?
Oppose.
And Mr. Smith?
Opposed.
Item 3, legislative that will restrict local control of school boards. I have no opinion. I'll start that one. Mr. Richardson? Ms. Young?
Oppose.
Mr. Smith?
Opposed.
Dr. Schumach?
Opposed?
Item 4, legislation that will require all board members to be elected at the same time. Mr. Richardson? Ms. Young?
Oppose.
Oppose. Mr. Smith?
Opposed.
Dr. Schumach?
Opposed?
And I oppose. Item 5, legislation that will provide incentives for school districts to move to year-round calendar. Ms. Young,
Support.
Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
and I support. Mr. Richardson. Item 6, legislation that would address school board members' misconduct. Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
I support. Mr. Richardson, support. Ms. Young.
Support.
Item 7, legislation that will require each local school board to formally adopt a code of conduct for board members. Where did I start? Mr. Richardson. He's already started. I'm just rotating. Ms. Young.
Support.
Okay. Mr. Smith.
Support.
Dr. Schumate.
Support.
I support. Mr. Richardson. Support. Item 8, legislation that would prohibit the use of cell phones or other personal communication devices by students during school hours. Mr. Smith,
Oppose.
Dr. Schumate,
No opinion.
I oppose. Mr. Richardson, Ms. Young.
No opinion.
Item 9, legislation that would limit the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in schools. Dr. Schumate,
Oppose.
I have no opinion about that one. Mr. Richardson, Ms. Young,
Oppose.
Mr. Smith.
Oppose.
Number 10, legislation that would create a structured statewide approach to quality early childhood education. I support that issue. Mr. Richardson,
Support.
Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate.
Support.
Item 11, legislation that would eliminate the requirement of passing an end-of-course test to graduate. Mr. Richardson. Ms. Young,
Support.
Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
and I support that issue. Item 12, legislation that would increase qualification for individuals running for the local school board. Ms. Young,
Support.
Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
I support that issue. Mr. Richardson.
Support.
Item 13, legislation that would allow for a salary supplement for experienced teachers willing to relocate to F-rated school districts. Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
I support that issue. Mr. Richardson, Ms. Young.
Support.
14, legislation that would allow public funds to be diverted from public schools to nonprofit schools, home schools, or virtual schools by means of vouchers, tuition tax credits, or scholarships. Dr. Schumate.
Oppose.
I oppose that issue. Mr. Richardson
Oppose.
and Mr. Smith.
Oppose.
Item 15, legislation that would allow public charter schools in districts with successful accountability ratings of A, B, or C. I oppose that issue. Mr. Richardson
Oppose.
and Mr. Smith,
Oppose.
Dr. Schumate.
Oppose.
Item 16, legislation that would provide incentives to people majoring in education and/or people seeking an alternative route license. Mr. Richardson,
Support.
Mr. Smith,
Support.
Dr. Schumate,
Support.
and I support that issue. Item 17, legislation that would provide financial incentives to consolidate schools. Ms. Young,
No opinion.
Mr. Smith. Number 17.
Oppose.
Opposed. Okay. Dr. Schumate,
Support.
I oppose that one. Mr. Richardson? Support. Number 18, legislation that would shift the control of student attendance officers from the Mississippi Department of Education to local school districts. Mr. Smith? Dr. Schumake?
No opinion?
I have no opinion about that issue. Mr. Richardson?
Oppose.
Ms. Young?
Opposed.
And item 10, what are your board's top priorities for the upcoming legislative session? Dr. Schumake?
It would be number 10, basically, statewide structured approach to quality childhood education.
And my concern would be the same as Dr. Shoemake's, statewide quality early childhood education. Mr. Richardson?
Enhancing school safety for faculty and staff and students.
Ms. Young?
I have number 10 and 15.
10 and 15. And Mr. Smith?
Number 15 is safety.
And item 20. What are some of the top issues that are currently in your district? My top issue is safety for our children. Mr. Richardson?
Safety and maintaining enough qualified personnel.
Ms. Young?
I have 16, which the incentives for those majoring in education, personnel, and for safety.
Mr. Smith?
Safety.
Ms. Dr. Schumake?
Safety.
Safety. Thank you, Board. Moving to item 4C, goals updates, policy BA. Number 1 is student attendance report, goal 1. 2 is student safety report, goal 4, with student discipline. Number 3 is the dropout report, goal 1. Number 4 is the safety report, the number of accidents in schools, goal 4. Are there any questions about any of those reports? Okay. You do?
I did not, may I?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see if I can read my notes here. It looks as if we've started calculating discipline or tabbing discipline differently than we have in the past. I mean, it's now in alphabetical order. It's much easier to read. So I wanted to comment. Whoever did that, thank you. I think that was it.
Okay. Any more questions about that? Moving to item 5, superintendent's updates and reports. A, Columbus Municipal School District, Dr. Stanley Ellis, Superintendent.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, we're going to start with the mission of the Columbus Municipal School District. We will provide students with the skills necessary to be college, workforce, and enlistment ready by building bridges among students, parents, community, and all district stakeholders. Our vision is student-centered and excellence-driven. In the next couple of weeks, you guys should be able to walk up to any employee in the Columbus Municipal School District and ask them what the mission and vision is, because we're focusing on that, and we shouldn't have to look at a piece of paper to talk about that, because that drives the work that we do. Next slide. while she's pulling that up and going to the next slide, just to kind of inform you guys, once I'm done giving you guys some brief updates, we felt the need to talk with you guys a little bit about intercession tonight because intercession will take place relatively soon before our next meeting. And so we're going to share some information with you guys in regards to intercession and some snapshots from takeaways that we had from last year, okay? It's going to look a little bit different this year than it did last year. Can't find it. And while she's pulling that up, I don't want to hold you guys up, so I'm going to go ahead and speak about the next slides that were on the PowerPoint. Of course, on all of the slides, we have our CMSD strategic plan and our goals for 2022 to 2027 with the DRIVE, which stands for develop data, recruit, and retain high-quality staff, innovation and strategies, value in physical prudence and transparency, and E, establishing a safe environment. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the comparisons. I know you have this before you, board members, and she'll pull it up when it comes up in a minute. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the comparisons in regards to the schools, the enrollments, the attendance, and discipline. And so if you look here on the first column, you have schools, and it starts with Columbus High School, which is August 1st through the 31st, and it gives you an idea from the enrollment in 2023 at Columbus High School. This is just an example. In 2023-24, this same time last year, we had 947 students at Columbus High School. Right now, in the 24-25 year, we have 869 students. So with that being said, we have lost some students at Columbus High School. If we look at the attendance in regards to Columbus High School, last year, the attendance for 23-24 was, at this same time last year, was 2,082. This time this year, it is 2,417. All right. All right, so also if you look at the discipline for Columbus High School, and I'm not going to go through all these, and we're just going to kind of skip around. If you could go back to the slide where we were, go back. Okay, right there. All right, if you look at the discipline at Columbus High School from last year to this year, last year there was 126, this year's 131. So there's a slight rise at Columbus High School. We're going to hone in on the middle school now. If you look at the discipline there, from last year to this year, 43 was last year at this time. This year, it's 45. So if you look at the bottom and you go all the way across, it gives you the total number of incidents that we had in 23-24, which was at this time last year was 283. And this time this year is 215. So overall, the count has gone down. If you look at the first column, when it looks at the student count, as far as enrollment is concerned, last year in 23-24, at this time, we had 3,067 students. This year, at the same time, we have 3,019 students. So we are missing some students. Hopefully those students will come back. Next slide, please. This talks about the teacher and student attendance. I tell you guys this each and every month. This is very important because if a student is not in the school, then they can't learn. If we don't have our teachers in the building, then they don't have a quality teacher to teach them. So if you look at the first deal here, it has Columbus High School, tells you the total number of teachers, the teacher absentees, personal days, those kinds of things. In some places, you may see an increase as far as absenteeism with students and teachers. We've had a little bout of COVID, so COVID is not going away, and so it's been impacting the attendance of not only our teachers and staff members, but also some of our students as well. Look at the average daily attendance for Columbus High School, the ADA, 86.36, then now it's 86.48. So gives you the prior month and where we are now. So we have gone up a little bit from last month. So we've got some work to do as far as ADA is concerned. If you look at all the schools, the highest ADA that we have is at Fairview Elementary School. So when you start to look at attendance and those types of things with those leading and lagging indicators, those things have a lot to do with academic achievement. Next slide. All right, accountability data, right? We know that there's been some delays, but in the next 8 days, we will have the accountability data for the Columbus Municipal School District. I promise you, everyone in this room will be very, very happy about the accountability that we are going to receive on this year. And so we're just waiting those 8 days. State board will approve it on the 17th. And as soon as it's approved by the state board, I will communicate with each board member in the form of verbal communication individually, as well as electronic communication, letting you know exactly where we are as a district and talking about some of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward. Principals are not here tonight because they're planning with some of the individuals from the city on some things that we are planning in the next coming weeks, and we will discuss that after the accountability has been shared publicly. Any questions about what I just said? Okay, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to allow Ms. Wilson to come up now, and what she's going to do is just talk to you guys briefly about the intercession, because I wanted you guys to kind of get an update on what that was going to look like.
Dr. Ellis, before you move on, Dr. Schumake has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I am somewhat concerned over the teacher absent percentage rate for August. 60% of the teachers were absent.
Yes, ma'am. We had a lot of absentees. It was just not at the schools.
If you get rid of COVID, and the same thing, days absent for the students also jumped by quite a bit from last year. Is it all accountable to COVID, or?
I really couldn't say if it's all accountable to COVID. I would have to check with the individual schools, but we've been trying to track some of it in regards to COVID, but we have been having some absenteeism. So I will have to check that. I don't want to.
If this is a blip, because that's not a good way to start the year.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for the observation.
Well,
All right.
I'm sorry, I had one last question. I think it was last month, Dr. Brown had asked for the COVID numbers. Will we continue to get those each month, or?
Yes, you will.
I think it's making an impact on attendance. That's my reason for
Yes.
wanting to know.
So we're trying to track it as best as possible. I talked with Mr. Chapman about it. And sometimes what's happening now with COVID, you have people that are out. Sometimes they don't necessarily tell you why they're out. And then sometimes you have people that are coming to work that are sick, and they're not saying anything to anybody. So we're going to, work on it as much as possible to try to keep you guys informed as we are informed. We're going to change the calculation of it up so that each month it'll kind of tell you how many cases that we have, and it'll kind of calculate itself the way it did when COVID was on the rise or whatever, So we'll do that. Any other questions? All right. Ms. Wilson.
Good evening, Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
Dr. Ellis has already read the district mission statement, so I'll go ahead and get into, I'm just going to do a quick recap of last year's survey results and then talk about what we're doing different this year. These are our registration numbers. Friday was our last day of registration, so these are what our numbers are looking like in October. Okay, on last year, we took a survey. We had 106 parents who took it, 621 students, and 106 teachers. They took the fall survey, and we're going to talk a little bit about what those results were. Some of the responses from our teachers, just a quick recap, were smaller groups. We asked them what were some of the best aspects of fall intercession. They talked about the smaller groups, great course offering, the schedule rotation, and the real life experiences. Some of our parent reviews from intercession, since that was our first year, some of the things that our parents said was we needed to advertise it more, emphasize some of the benefits of intercession, have activities that the students actually signed up for, offer more incentives, post photos of intercession, educate parents on what's happening daily, explain it better, and inform parents early. I want to talk about how we've addressed some of these. We started with registration, and that started August the 26th through September the 6th. And one of the things that the principal did a really good job this year was we had our district-wide parent-teacher conference day, and so they used that time to educate our parents about intercession and get students signed up. And so I've gotten with our PR person, so every day when we have intercession, she's going to be going around doing photos, and we'll make sure we post those so parents can see what's happening every day. Now, the issue with the flexibility of the bus schedule, I did talk with Mr. Chapman. We're not going to be able to allow students for parents to kind of change up and say, hey, I need for my child to go to this particular address on this day, just because it's already a lot when you're trying to take these different schools and create a route. So there's just going to be too much when parents want to make changes. So if they are making changes, they'll just have to pick their students up that particular day. Okay, some of the student responses were they enjoyed the math games last year, field trips, football, cheer, cooking, and then the college tours. And then we showed the board some of the testimonies, and we sent this video to the board on last year, testimonies from some of our teachers and some of our students. You can move on to the next slide. So our fall tentative activities, we're still going to keep the college tours because that was a big hit. The cooking class, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep the mock trial, the CPR class. We're going to continue with the dissecting of the animals. I believe MSU is going to be coming out. The STEM labs will keep that. The math and the writing labs. We'll have story time, dress up, the drama and sports activity, and we're going to keep the ACT boot camps. So those popular items that the kids enjoyed, we're going to keep those. The ones that the kids rated were low, we just pretty much scratched those activities. One of the incentives that we tried to do to boost up our attendance were any student that attended 4 days of intercession will get into the homecoming game for free. We're going to do a daily drawing in our schools, and then at the very last day, we'll have an end-of-the-week celebration at our different schools. Okay? And then how did we communicate with our parents? I mentioned about the parent-teacher conference. At our high school, Dr. Andrews met with each cohort, 9th grade through 12th grade, and kind of talked about the importance of those students attending. The goal there is to get those students get our seniors who need an additional state assessment in order to graduate, or our struggling learners at the high school. We also communicated through school status via text message to our parents, and then our district-wide Facebook page. Those were some of the ways that we communicated intercession. And so our time, and I've also put a timeline up there for you, so that way you'll know kind of when intercession will start, when the buses will start determining the routes, and then transportation. Everything, we closed out registration on September the 6th. The 13th, the principals will then send the students' names and addresses to transportation. Then, of course, they would determine the routes, and then fall intercession will start. So we should be ready for fall intercession on September the 30th. I think we've timed it out very well, and we've gotten pretty good participation from our students. Any questions on intercession?
Any questions? Dr. Schumann?
Yeah, just one. What is the split in numbers between the enrichment piece catch-up is?
I don't have that information, but I can get that for you.
Okay.
I can get that to you.
What is the term? The one where we're trying to,
Remediation,
Remediation.
yeah, but we have another, well, you know, that's
I
what
said
I'm talking.
interventions.
enrichment and remediation were the two.
Okay, remediation, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item B, federal programs update. Mrs. Emma Cornwall, Director.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
So I want, y'all go to purpose, since we've heard mission and the vision several times. So the purpose of the federal program department is to provide leadership and the effective use of federal funds to support our students, our teachers, our administrators, and parents in reaching prescribed goals that's based on the needs identified by our stakeholders in our needs assessment. Our allocation trends look as listed, FY '23, '24, and '25. And as you can see, there has been some trending downward. FY '23, we lost 3% of funding, not based on anything that we've done, but just based on the federal government's distribution of the funds. FY '24, we had a 1%, another 1% decrease. And then in FY '25, we had a 15% decrease, which was about $400,000 and some thousand dollars. About $450,000. We are hoping, as you know, the federal government has not balanced their budgets. They're proposing maybe extending that out to March. So we won't know probably until around March if they're gonna fund us at a higher rate. So we might get some of those funds back. We'll just have to ride it out and wait and see. But we did plan for that, and we had to budget accordingly based on the funding that was given. And if we get any of those funds back, we will use them as best possible for our district. Now, fund balance is obligated. This shows you the FY '22, '23, and '24 fund balance is the amount that we've obligated, that we've spent. And as you can see on FY '22, most of those funds are obligated. We have about a little bit at Stokes Beard that's going to be put in some PD. That'll be done before the end of this month. That'll be obligated before the end of this month. FY '23, most of those funds have been obligated and spent, or we got about 1.3 left for Title I. Most of it is the ARP homeless funds. In January and February, most of the districts in the state had roughly anywhere about 88 to 90% of those funds still on the books. So we're all across the district trying to spend those funds because of all the ESSER funds and the title funds that we have to try to get off. And they were late approving a lot of those applications because it was such narrow things that we could spend that money on. FY '24, you can see we've obligated 86.5% of Title I, 56% of Title II, 46% of Title IV, and 80% of Title V, and 41% of the SIG money. Since this was printed, some of those funds have been obligated, which will show on the next month. As you can see, we have improved on the spending of the ARP homeless funds, 42%, we're trying to have, that's also, we've spent higher than that up to this point. It's probably about 60-something now. We're trying to make sure that we spend all those funds, trying to obligate all those funds by the end of this month. This past year, and this year, we added a few things to our projects that we're funding, our continuing education fund, and this year we did have a couple of teachers who are using some of the funds to get some certifications. We have 4 teachers total, 2 getting a certification extra add-on in CTE, and then we have 2 teachers in the William Carey program who are utilizing the continuing education funds. Supplements for mentors, mentees, we're trying to each year enhance that program. This year, if I'm not mistaken, we have a total of 30-something mentors. Is that correct? About 37 mentors who are going to mentor teachers, new teachers. With the ARP homeless, we added the homeless liaison, and that is also a position that we would like to keep. That was funded by the ARP, and I think last week you asked me questions about the funding on that. The board approved Ms. Glenna Richardson to be the ARP homeless liaison, and we also in August, that was approved in March, I believe. We came back in August. We also wanted to approve Ms. Richardson for contract work for the parent liaison. So you have homeless liaison, parent liaison. Since then, Ms. Richardson was on another job. She ended that job in 1st of June, I believe. So she was able to work for us so far between July and August during the summer, and she earned a total of $1,660. We offered her a second, because that was through the summer months. So we have offered her a second, she offered a second proposal for $9,920 to finish throughout the end of this semester. Because she took a full-time job and could not fulfill the duties of the parent liaison, we wanted to keep her on as the homeless parent liaison because of her connections with other entities related to and relevant to that body. She has agreed to do that. So we want to keep her on as the homeless liaison, and you have a person on the board docket tonight to be hired as the parent liaison. And because of funding and a decrease in funding, we took all of the money from the teachers who in their schools were parent liaisons, but that was hard trying to get that done. So that's why we wanted to pool all that money together to have that as one job or one person. So this year, because of the cuts in funding, we contract the work out. But we're hoping that next year when we close the schools that we're planning to close, that increases the pot of money to be distributed among those schools, which means we should be able to afford a full-time, paid, fully paid, without contract work, parent liaison. We also have 2 schools, school improvement. The middle school has improved this year, but they are CSI school, so comprehensive school improvement. So they will, even though they are improving and making the mark, they have to remain in for 3 years. So they've done 1, and we're hoping we will continue to improve, and in 2 more years they will come out. So we will want them to use those funds well, so that when they come out, they'll have the things that they need to keep sustaining what they're doing now. The high school is a TSI school. We will know probably mid-October if they are out or if they are going to stay in. So right now, we will continue to get funding for the middle school, and we'll have to wait and see for the high school. next page, it just gives you an idea of the positions and the things that our federal funds in Title I, II, 4, and 5 helps to pay for in the district. And if you notice that Title IV was still a little bit high, that money normally comes off right now this month, and most of those Title IV funds, because of the dual enrollment, will be gone. That's a continuation on the next page of those federal funds and how they're appropriated and used. Are there any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I have.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Thank you.
I was thinking.
I believe, as a board, we approved from a contractor standpoint for Ms. Richardson to be the home liaison and the parent liaison for $45,000 some time ago. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so,
And yes, that's correct.
okay. So tonight, you asking the board to support your recommendation for a parent liaison, which is not Ms. Richardson, and for Ms. Richardson to work part-time as the home liaison, right?
Yes.
So if we've already approved a contract for Ms. Richardson to do both, then we're gonna have to rescind something?
Yes, that first, the first one is going to be closed. That first contract, I got a submission from Mrs. Richardson where she's told me that she will not be able to fulfill the parent liaison, but she will. I have that from her, but she will be able to fulfill the duties as a part-time with her flexible hours with her schedule, the homeless liaison position.
Okay, yeah, so I guess back to my question. Since the board has approved this, we're gonna have to go back as a board and rescind. Is that right, council? Okay, all right. Now, from the, okay, if her contract was approved to do both for $45,000, and you said that we've only paid from February up until, whenever she, decided that she would, no longer would do it, you believe you said $1,650,
Yes, the first portion of that was on one PO that was going to end, and then after that, so that's the 1,660 on that one. So I offered her a new contract
okay?
for the
So-
9,920.
Okay, so from the parent liaison, standpoint, how much money is left in your fund for it?
I just recently had to do a revision. I have approximately, this past week, we've been spending most of that money. We have submitted a revision to MDE. So we've spent about 62 to 68% of the funding. But we're working on requisitions to obligate the last 38% and have those in our office to make sure we have the POs for those things by the end of this month.
Okay, so how much is left in the home liaison?
You have about 40, now when I count the encumbered, that means I got Ms. Richardson's money encumbered, which means it's not spent yet until she served those days. So the funds, I'll speak in terms of encumbrance. We have about 60-something%, about 68% of the funds encumbered, and we're working on encumbering the other 32%. And a large portion of that is going to be food for the homeless. We're buying more supplies for the homeless students. We're buying emergency meals for the students and clothing and more uniforms. We're buying coats, fleeces. So we pretty much got most of the money spent. We were trying to do hotels, but it gets a little bit, when I write, next year I plan to write the McKinney-Vento plan, but for this money, because we don't know those counts or how many's gonna come in, we decided to go ahead until that point and use our agencies that we have, Red Cross, Salvation Armies, and those entities through Ms. Richardson, who does a really good job, to help provide the hotels and the extended stay in places for the homeless right now, because I didn't wanna, I talked to the business manager about how we might be able to do that, and that for the short period of time that we have to obligate, spend, and get that money off the books, we were a little concerned about that.
But for the homeless, money is in there, I mean, within the guidelines to where you can provide shelter.
Yes,
For the
but because this grant is running out, and we don't want to lose any of these funds.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
I guess my last question, you say, when is the deadline, when is the timeline or deadline to spend the parent and the homeless liaison fund?
About the end of November, we want to have all those funds obligated for that contracted work for the homeless liaison.
So-
Right now, she's planning stuff that does not, like right now, we're planning a job fair for homeless parents and anybody else. We're planning some out-of-school time and some school time events to try to support the parents with, so we're working right now on several events that she's gonna plan for the attendance of our homeless, because that's the biggest thing that we're finding. When they're homeless, they have to show work. So she's working on trying to get them to come in, because we have to get them jobs, because they have to have so much income to be able to get housing at the housing authority and all these different places. So we got a lot of things that we got to work on to try to educate the parents. So she'll be doing some work, working with the kids during the school day, and some things, events on weekends and through the weekday and after school with parents.
So if we haven't spent the money from February up until now, how are we gonna spend this money by the end of November?
We already spent 68% of the money, and we got about 32% on those things that I just mentioned, which are hard things that'll be coming in.
So you saying that the rest of it will be spent by the end of the
We're obligated right now and trying to get those things in. Those things are like more uniforms, more supplies for the kids, emerging meals, coats. We're getting more kits that have like the undergarments and the hygiene products and all those things in there. So yeah, we're ordering a lot more staples to spend the rest of that money. So the two things that are human that have to provide services would be the homeless liaison counseling, and Ms. Henley is doing a really good job with that, and has actually was able to find a couple of kids that we didn't know was homeless because their parents didn't report it, just from talking with some of the kids and some of their friends. And so the money between Ms. Henley, the counselor, and Mrs. Richardson, those are the two that we have to try to get those hours in and get those services in for that contract work.
So with the parent liaison, when will this person begin work? If the
Well,
board approve it tonight.
That person needs to start as soon as possible, because we had meetings scheduled with the principals last week with Ms. Richardson, but we had to cancel all of those because when she told us that she was not going to be able to do the work. So that person needs to start like tomorrow. I know they have to come in and they have to, but like now.
Okay, so this person has already made a commitment that if the board approves, that she'll be ready to begin work.
Yes, we
as
did
soon as
offer.
possible.
We did offer to that person after when Ms. Richardson told us that she would not be able to do the work. And that person is, she's worked with the district a lot. She's had kids, and she's actually working. She supports a lot of the things going on in the district right now. So she's very familiar with our district, and I think would be a really great individual to serve that role. Trying not to leave any money on the table. We're doing our best.
So, I didn't hear you.
I said we're trying not to leave any money on the table. We're doing our very best.
Any more questions? Thank you, Ms. Cornwall.
Thank you.
Item C, Child Nutrition Update, Mrs. Mia Johnson, Director.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to share with you briefly some updates on child nutrition. The first slide that you see up there is in line with our vision statement and our goals here at CMSD. And it states our mission is to contribute to academic success by encouraging a positive learning experience while promoting a lifelong healthy eating habit and ensuring all students have a nutrition, tasty, affordable meal served by caring professionals and with a pleasant environment. On our next slide is Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, and it is very important. It's one of our best tools that we have in child nutrition because it also allows for kids that can't pay for meals, any low-income community kids, and because of our school district area in a low-income area, it kind of automatically make us approved for CEP. And next year, we had to recert up for CEP, and it should go fine because we're still in the same area, and we still kind of like still floating around the same 3,000 and some students. This is just a brief summary that I have up now from last year, starting from July 2023 to May 2024. That's what we had for breakfast. We had like 484,222 breakfasts that we served. And MDE gives us like $2.73 per meal for reimbursable meal. And then for lunches, we see is 482,679 lunches we serve. But for lunch, they give us like $4.27 per reimbursable meal. It's been a lot of motion about summer feeding, when to start and when not to start. If you notice, on May 23, we started. We just only had like 3 days left in May. And if you look over there, we went to June, and that's why you only have 202 because it was like 3 days in May. But from now on, we started our summer feeding up in June like June 1st. And try to end summer feeding, give the workers at least 2 weeks off before they have to go back to regular food testing. So we're going to try to end that July the 4th, that weekend, and not carry on like we normally do to give them a break. And you can notice the difference in the lunch and the breakfast summer feeding. You notice that our kids do not get up in the morning for breakfast. At some schools, we don't have anybody come for summer feeding, but for lunch, they'll come. And you know, most of the schools that's in the area, the kids are available to walk and get breakfast and lunch, but if they're hungry enough, they will get up for breakfast. But normally they drag around and wait till lunchtime and come to the different schools. We are monitoring the schools, kind of like when Franklin had theirs, we started off with all the schools open because we didn't want a child to be able to go somewhere and we weren't open to serve them any food, so we kept all 8 of the schools open, 7 of the schools open, and then we kind of monitor it. Like Franklin ended up only having like 12 people come in, so we kind of like after 2 weeks or so, we closed them down and let the people know where they could go to get another meal, like Stokes Beard. They could go to Stokes Beard, cook. We made sure they know where they could walk to or where they could go and get a meal. And summer feeding is a little different. They only give us like $2.71 for breakfast and summer feeding, and then lunch they give us like $4.72. And this just was a comparison from last year and this year. The next thing we're showing is offer versus serve. Offer versus serve is where we offer, especially at the high school, we offer them 5 components. And out of those 5 components, they can pick 3. And they have to come out of the components like the meat group, the food group. All of them have to come out of it, but they have a choice. And it's mandatory that we do offer versus serve at the high school. But the elementary school, we can do a basic menu and get away with that. But as far as the high school, it helped us a lot, like reduce on all of this food, excess food, waste and stuff. The offer versus serve helped out a lot with that. The next one is the allowable food. Vending machines and snack sales are prohibited 1 hour before breakfast and 1 hour before lunch until meal period has ended. And this came from our Healthy Food Act. And also no carbonated drinks. know you might see in the teacher lounge, they can have these things as long as it's closed behind a closed door and have a lock, so the child's not wandering in. So it's okay for them to actually have it. When they come and monitor us and check on us, they kind of like walk around just to see if it's easy for them to walk in the cafeterias, walk into the teachers' lounges and just buy snacks, kind of like if there was a child. And if you go on down, it's also prohibit us to allow anybody to bring food that's advertised or commercially advertised, like Wendy's and different stuff like Pizza Hut. But if you have that food and you want to bring the cafeteria, as long as you put it in like a clear bag or wrapper paper, or just make sure you pack it as a lunch and don't bring commercial items into the cafeteria. And that's for students and for the adults there. The next thing is the wellness program, and it's mandatory. Every school has to have a wellness program. And right now, we got one set up at each school, and we're in the process of trying to get it back up and going. Because we had so many different teachers or principals leave, we kind of had to update it now. And so we're working on that and making sure that we still have nutrition, health, and a lot of history. Like even the nurses, they also give us information like on the COVID. They might send something across the internet for everybody and different things like that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is CPR first aid training. It's not mandatory for us to have CPR first aid, but when I got my license at Baptist for American Heart Association instructor, I made sure that each time, every year, that all of our employees, all 53 of our employees, get certified in CPR, basic first aid. Choking is also involved in the first aid. And each one of them are really good at saving a life for adult, child, and if something were to happen in the cafeteria, they can quickly help during an emergency situation until the nurse gets there. And as I said, we got 53 employees. I know it's 52 on there. We got 7 managers, 2 satellite managers, and we got 3 people that work in the office. And most of the employees, they are going back to school, and most of them are taking classes and stuff. And you can see where some of them already got their associate degree, bachelor's, and some are working on their master's. They are trying to find better jobs in the school district, like teacher or trying to get somewhere in business, and they're working on those. And so we encourage them, we help them a whole lot, on their online classes and try to make sure. Also, I did want to say that I was elected on the Mississippi School of Nutrition Board, Executive Board, and I'm the regional director for region number 3, region 3. The next slide is just showing, we're just trying to make sure we represent well for our school district. The next slide is just showing our employees and what location they're at. So basic. The mandatory professional training that we have to have twice a year, it includes that civil rights. We have to make sure we drill that into them. We talk about a lot of kitchen safety. We have the fire rescue to come, and they talk to the kitchen and let them know how to put out fires and what to expect and what not to do. We also do receiving and storing and make sure we have safe and sanitation on everything. The red book on there, you might want to know what the red book is. The red book is very important. It keeps up with all the calories. It keeps up with the number of meals and everything. If you want to get rolled up by MDE, that red book, if it's not, that book is not enough. The district had to pay the violation. They won't even let you pay it out of child nutrition. It comes strictly from the district. So we try to keep those red books updated every day before we leave. The next one is Mississippi Department of Health permit that we have. I can report and say that all of our schools have an A. And I know when you go to restaurants, you look for that and make sure that they got an A. Well, all of our cafeterias have an A on their inspection, health inspection. Field trip is another thing. We have to let the Office of Child Nutrition know when we're doing field trips, because we also have to do reimbursable meals and send it with them on the trips. And we keep up with the count just like we do any other POS counting system. We make sure that we keep up with them and serve them. We take them coolers, and we make sure they have everything on the bus. And we also try to help out much as we can, like with the athletic department. We kind of like help them, because they had some students that after they finished football practice was hungry and wasn't going to have anything when they went home. So we did provide them with a sandwich and like some juice, milk, and gave them little that, but because of child nutrition, we got to go by the rules. Dr. Ellis said, make sure we go by the rules. We had to charge them, so we kind of like charge them $1.50 per meal. And in the meal, we give them more than just the sandwich and juice. We give them apples. We give them a lot of little healthy snacks. We kind of like pack the bag up for them to take home. And we also, like on Monday morning, when kids come in on Monday, they are starving. And most of the cafeteria people, they know the kids to watch, and they know to give them extra for those kids because they come in starving on Monday. And then you got this set of kids that go home on weekends, and they got to take care of all the kids. We also kind of slip and pack them overnight. The older child might come by the cafeteria, pick up an overnight, and we give them like cereal, chef meal, different things for them to eat during the weekend so they can get back for Monday. So we try to make sure every child is being fed. And it's a really rewarding job once you know that, that we kind of got a little mission and we kind of fulfilling the goals that we have. My last thing I want to talk about, each cafeteria member, they know and they focus on it, making sure all the students are fed breakfast and lunch. And mostly they watch and make sure that they notice kids if they're having problems, they'll let the nurse know, but they keep up with it. We have got the most kids this year that are allergic to food. I know when y'all was growing up, y'all just ate everything, but now we got kids that are allergic to everything. In our system, when the kid go through the line, if it's Mia Johnson and I'm allergic to meats or milk and stuff, it'll blink and let the cafeteria person know that to check that tray to make sure that child don't have milk on there. So we got some things to make sure that we keep in line with what the doctor sent over. And we only take information from the doctor. It's a form that the teachers give. They come back and the doctor have to sign it. And those are the ones that we put in the system. The last page is just the daily nutrition healthy. It's like for 1,200 calories while we try to match it because, they try to make us keep down the sodium as much as we can. And, the elementary school, they already said they want pizza every Friday, and we try to do that. We try to make sure they have it. And we giving the high school like potato little bars, and we also offer them a hot and a cold sandwich every day. And we also just doing different little stuff like they had boneless wings, and they had it this past week. They had boneless wings, and they had the hot ones, the lemon pepper. We try to get them a variety because when we go to training and stuff, the worst thing they talk about is how we can get these high school kids to eat. I mean, they brought in specialists, they brought kids in to try to help, and they're having that problem on all the schools, get those high schools to eat. So we're working on that. And other than that, anybody got any questions? Pretty good.
I have one.
Okay.
You talked about the children that are very hungry when they come in on Monday. Are there any programs that would send home a bag of food on Friday with children identified by their teachers and principals to supply needs for children over the 2 days that they're off, or 3 days?
Most of the time, these students are not the ones that's been identified, like on the homeless roster and stuff. These are just kids that we just know. Their parents might not be homeless and stuff, but we. The
But if their
cafeteria
teacher
come and watch 'em.
identifies them, can they
Yeah,
be
the teachers
can they
let
be
us know.
supported like that?
They do, and they'll come back to the cafeteria. Somebody won't know and pick up the backpack for them or something like that. But we make sure they get it. The teachers are involved. They watch just as much as the cafeteria people.
I know I worked in a district that did that every Friday. They called the kids to the office, and we knew that they had food, and the kids were happy to go and get the food, but I don't know what program it was.
And we don't allow anybody to know they come secretly and pick up the bag. And
Yes, ma'am.
I know there are at least 2 churches that do that, one for Franklin and one for Stokes Beard. So is there also one?
I know Fairview Church does the backpack industry.
Fairview Church, First Presbyterian does it, and I think First Methodist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was from Fairview. Is it not Fairview? I know Fairview do the backpack.
But anyway, there are some churches out there that do backpack, Mississippi backpack program.
That's it. It would be good if we could help those children any way we
I was
can
thinking
to
that I
get them
approved the
food
contract
on
with
weekends.
Fairview.
Cook,
I was thinking
Ms. Wilson,
Cook. I was thinking that Fairview did one also. Maybe I'm thinking of a contract for something else, because they send those
Middle
agreements
school
through.
used to do
It,
one
it would be
also.
good for all of them, because they all
But it
have
could, it
needs.
could,
Just a thought. Thank you. Anybody got any questions, any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Moving to item 5, open forum, policy BCBD. Chief Brown, we have anyone? Thank you, no one. Item 6, office of the superintendent, Dr. Stanley Ellis, school operations, travel.
Yes, I traveled to the state board meeting on last month. Of course, they approved the normal things that they approved, but most of the chatter was about the anticipation of accountability and the changes that they were going to be making and that we were anticipating. I also had a chance to travel down to Capaya County to meet with a group of individuals. I am looking into providing a $6 million grant for the Columbus Municipal School District. It's a group of individuals that I've worked with before, and I've got some inroads to them. So we're working on that. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Item 6, superintendent recommendations. Number 1, consideration and/or discussion to approve the job description for parent liaison submitted by the Office of Human Resources. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I think
Is that the
point of
one where
order,
we need
we
to
need to
rescind?
rescind first.
Okay.
We need to rescind the original contract, because the original contract was for the home liaison. Well,
If we rescind
the
it.
original contract was for Ms. Richardson to do both.
yeah, we can just terminate it as of tonight then.
Yeah. Well, that's, okay. That's fine.
So is it a
But it
different?
need to be terminated first, right? Yeah,
So the motion is to,
it terminate
Or that
the
portion
original
of it.
contract.
Oh, okay.
what's the title? Parent.
Yeah, terminate the parent liaison contract.
So moved.
Okay. I'll make the second. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by myself to terminate the parent liaison contract. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Thank you. And number 1, which is now number 2, is to consider and/or discuss to approve the job description for the parent liaison submitted by the Office of Human Resources. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Item 3 now is the consideration and/or discussion to approve administrative recommendation submitted by the Office of Human Resources. Is there a motion? I'll
So
make,
moved.
okay, go ahead, Mr. Smith.
So moved.
And I'll make the second. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions about that one? All in favor? Thank you. I'll recuse on number 4 now. The consideration and discussion to approve staff personnel due to family.
Mr. Smith, I'd like to make a motion to approve the staff personnel items, all with the exception of number 9, the items listed under number 9.
Okay. All right, we have you making a motion to approve everything except for item number 9, that's right, Ms.? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve, everything except item number 9. Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion?
Those items, Mr. Chapman, you stated we no longer needed those items, correct? Okay, all right. Oh. Oh, we gotta pay them for the one time, the
Right.
one weekend. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
But
okay.
we no
So
longer
I-
need their service, my understanding. Right.
So leave 9 in, I rescind the
Yeah.
motion, we'll leave 9 in. Okay, we were under the impression that it never moved forward.
Yeah, we'll just go
We
with the
just
motion to
approving it, we'll go
approve.
with the motion,
Yes, sir.
and then that'll take care, we're
Take care
approving
of
them
it.
for the time that they've already worked.
Yes.
Right, okay?
So
And
the-
my second,
Yeah, the original, she's just changing her original
Right.
motion, and he seconded it.
right,
Okay,
so, we good, Ms. Young?
yes, we good.
Okay. Is there further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion? Okay, thank you.
Item 5, consideration and/or discussion to approve additional special education teacher position submitted by the Office of Business. Is there a motion?
I got for me
It's
too.
4, but number 1 was the rescind. I've renumbered, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It was,
yeah.
I
okay,
renumbered,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, we
I'm
all
so
could-
sorry.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So it made that one number 5. It gives us 6 items in there. Is there a motion?
The special
The
education,
special
so moved.
education
I'm sorry.
teacher
So
position.
moved.
second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. All in favor? Any questions? All in favor? And the last item, and this is 6.
That's 6
I'm
on your
sorry.
chart.
It's 6 on
And
my
5
chart.
on ours.
I renumbered. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Remember, we added number
Okay.
1. Number 6, I'm sorry. Consideration and/or discussion to approve revised salary schedule 32, submitted by the Office of Business. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion. A motion by myself, Dr. Brown, and a second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Hold on a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This concerning the officers, right? Okay. As far as from the assistant chief, position, is there, just a suggestion, is there, could this person be a floating officer? Yeah. Say what now?
It's, his office will be, he's still at the, will be at the middle school. I think just supporting chief if needed, would be to float as well as that. I think chief may have him doing some other assignments at the elementary schools, but he's currently stationed at the middle school. And Chief was pretty much doing the floating.
Okay, so I guess my next question would be, so who floats most of the time now?
Chief Brown.
From school to school, every day?
Every day she goes through and check. Now, I know at one point she had the the one being recommended for the assistant to also help support, do some floating as well at the elementary schools with the SSOs and just kind of fill in also in that area. So depending on those assignments of where she has them going, but mainly Chief Brown is the one that does a lot of floating.
So who take care of the administrative work and the paperwork?
Chief Brown.
For SRO?
Chief Brown.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? Any more questions about that? All in favor?
If you could, in thinking on this revised salary schedule, what's the difference again in what positions that they're holding? Mhm. Mhm. Okay. And how many SSOs do we have currently?
So we've heard, I mean, the same thing was stated last week. SROs can teach classes. Have they ever taught classes or do they teach classes within the school district? Mr. Chapman, you want to answer that or whomever?
They, at one point, they had a DARE program, but now they've switched over to leads. And so Chief, right now we have 2 certified people, that's Chief Brown and person who will be her assistant who are certified, I think right now. And so she's working with Ms. Wilson to get in those schedules, so they can start teaching those classes. But I guess to say that they've been taught late in the past couple of years, no, they have not. But I think this year they've been working with Ms. Wilson trying to get in the school schedules to start teaching those classes.
So when will the board be advised as to when the SROs will start teaching classes? Yeah, I mean, it could be the next board meeting if you want to. Is that, I mean, I'm speaking from the board standpoint. I would just like to know, I'm quite sure the board would like to know also. I mean, we heard from the administration say that they can teach these classes, but then they haven't been teaching the classes. So then why they not teaching the class? And I think Mr. Chairman basically answered the question. So I guess we need to know when will they start teaching the classes after you get everything together.
Mr.
You
Rich-
come back to the board and let us know that they have started.
Can I inject? When
Yes,
you say
Mr.
teaching
Richardson.
classes for SRO, now it don't just necessarily mean teaching English or math. SROs, they're supposed to be able to do conflict resolution and all that type of stuff. They consider that class when you come in, right? So, and that's, one of the problems being even before I retired, where it's left up to the building administrator as when it was left up to them when they would allow them to do this type of thing, because a lot of, the problem that in the past, they didn't want the SROs involved when it came to conflict resolution and crisis management, stuff like that. They weren't limited in being involved in teaching that type of safety classes to the teachers and people like that. They can do that type of stuff. So that's where the kind of conflict came, where it really never got off the ground.
So I guess from the request here, Ms. Wilson will get with, I guess, the administrators and with Dr. Ellis or Mr. Chaplin, whatever, and then come back with a schedule as to when it will begin. Is that not correct?
Ms. Dr. Shoemaker, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Ms. Rogers, if I understood you this, or I can't remember, I think you were the one. The school safety officer can neither teach nor arrest. The, the school safety officer can neither teach nor arrest. What do they do? I mean, I know they do something. Okay.
Good afternoon, Chief.
School safety officer is to give support to the SROs and the school administrators. So they have other skills that we also have in de-escalation, conflict resolution, and they can do some other things that we cannot do because we are certified police officers. So they're a liaison between us and kind of the admin, and they do some of the same things that we do. Heavy foot patrol, and just being that support that you need on the day-to-day activities. They also run metal detectors at our sporting events. Like tomorrow, we got Grandparents' Day, so they'll be able to give us that support, and we can continue our task as well.
So have you finished?
Yes, sir.
So SSO does not have arrest power.
No, sir.
Is that correct?
That is correct. They're non-certified personnel.
And what is the salary comparable in other districts for? You said that you're trying to raise the salary on the, is it a campus enforcement person?
Campus enforcement. So that's a common position that most districts across the state use. So a school resource officer has to have a minimum of 3 years of full-time law enforcement experience. You may have officers, police officers who apply for this position, but don't meet the 3-year requirement. And it's kind of a segue for them to come in, learn the job, and when they get their 3 years, we can certify them as school resource officers.
Okay. So what's the salary range typically, or the pay in other districts?
Other districts, I think it may start out from 32 on up. Some districts have a salary step for the campus enforcement officer. It just depends on the need of that district. Any other questions?
No more questions? Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
So for 6, discussion and/or consideration or discussion to approve revised salary schedule 32 submitted by the Office of Business. We have a motion by myself, Dr. Brown, and a second by Mr. Richardson. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 7, Office of Business Management, Columbus Municipal School District Business Administration, discussion of the following items. A, consideration to approve monthly financial reports, policy DI. Number 1 is the fund balance report. 2 is the cash balance report. 3, budget status report. 4, monthly revenue budget report. And 5, monthly expenditure budget report. Do we have a motion to approve these?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions about those? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 6, certification and summary of reconciled bank statements, policy DI. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Dr. Shoemake. Are there any questions? All in favor? Item 7, budget amendments. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 8, fixed asset disposal. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Madam Chairman. I need
Yes,
to recuse.
yes, sir. Item 7A, number 9, is the claims docket. Number A is the paid accounts payable claims for board ratification. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Richardson. Are there any questions? All in favor? Item B, held accounts payable claims to Columbus Light and Water Department. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Richardson and a second by Ms. Young. Are there any questions? All in favor? Mr. Smith, we're on item 9C.
Thank you.
Okay. Regular accounts payable, claims docket. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. Are there any questions? We have a motion, I'm sorry, we have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by myself. Questions? All in favor? Item 10, consideration and/or discussion to approve workers' compensation carrier, October 1, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 7B are for your information, Chief Financial Officer updates. Number 1, the monthly ad valorem tax collection analysis report, policy DI. Number 2, Columbus Municipal School District fund balance trends. Number 3, bank cash balance yearly comparison. Number 4, student event activity report. Number 5, federal programs and IDEA monthly financial review. Are there any questions about these? Moving to item 8, the consent agenda, policy BCBL. Number A, consideration and/or discussion to approve the Mississippi Department of Education added language to policy IHE, promotion and retention. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Item B, consideration and/or discussion to approve agreements, contracts, memorandums of understanding, out-of-state travel, field trips, and student transfers. This covers item 1 through 21. Is there a motion?
You gonna do all of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask a question on 12.
12.
Yeah, we have a letter here, but my question is, I guess, Dr. Ellis, I need to ask you this, is that, within 10 days, will this person be able to cover everything that's listed here for scope of work within 10 days? I know it said not to exceed 10 days.
Right, I like to, I think so, but I would like to come back before the board if that was necessary. I don't think it would exceed 10 days. I'm not for it.
Madam
Yes,
President,
ma'am.
May I have a motion that we take number 5, 6, and 12 separately?
Okay. Okay, 5, 6, and 12 separate, so that would exclude those, and the items that we will cover for this motion would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions about those items? All in favor? Item 5, R.L. Mack Consulting Services proposal submitted by the Office of Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Oh, you wanted to remove those
Yeah.
completely?
No, while we
We
remove them,
wanted,
while we,
I thought you wanted to
taking
discuss
separate.
them.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
We were
want
just,
to take
they're
them
just for discussion separately. Is that correct?
separate. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So we'll get the motion and get it on tape? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Young. Any questions?
Yes, number 5 and 6, I think in the review meeting, we had asked for the original contract and those days that were allocated, well, the number of days and amount of money that was spent. I think it was last Wednesday. But we didn't get a follow-up.
We were gonna follow up with you guys today. We have it. She has it. I think you guys wanted to know how many days that we used last year and what were we going moving forward, and I think the question was about how much money had been spent with them already.
And will we duplicate services?
Well,
One of the other questions.
we approved, if I'm not mistaken, in June, remember when we took all the contracts and you all were getting a head start on the contracts? This for this school year. We, I found it, I didn't bring it with me, but we approved, it was everything that you all normally would use. We asked the questions.
So for Bailey, we didn't do, approve for the 2024 school year.
No.
RML, RL Mac Consulting Service, either?
It had a whole bunch of people on there for this upcoming school year. And I don't remember that thing about last school year. I remember about. I thought what we approved when you brought, when we were working toward the budget, I guess at the time it was happening. You had a bunch of contracts that we asked where could we get some verification on what we had used, what we are using, how effective it were. And we supposed to be getting some information back to say, yes, this we did or we didn't or it did.
I might be, I don't know if I might be mistaken, but I think when you asked, we brought something to the board and I said that I wanted to get information from you guys so that we'll know exactly what you're asking, because sometimes in listening, we may misinterpret exactly what you want. And I think we gave you guys something, but it wasn't really what you wanted in regards to
Okay,
that.
so, Ms. Wilson, Doc, have you finished?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson, so what you saying, for an example, number 6, the Bailey Educational Group, LLC. So you saying what this board approved concerning Bailey was for the 23-24 year, not for 24-25? Correct. Is that what you saying to the board?
Yes.
I did find it. I'm definitely not, want to be contentious, I'm looking for it again. I found it over the weekend. It was tons of contracts for the upcoming school year. So we're just trying to make sure we're not duplicating services and, before we move forward. We trust what you're saying, and I do understand that you all are wanting something in writing as to exactly what we want, and we are going to get that to you all as well. And, we do remember this in February, but we got it was red ink, it was every
Those are
contract.
programs.
It was
Those are
programs, and
programs.
it was vendors as well.
For the vendors. Just
No
programs.
consultants.
Any more questions about that?
Take one and pass it down.
Any more questions about that one,
Um,
that item?
Thank you.
well, I guess 5 and 6 were in the same group. I don't know, I'm looking for it again. Hold on, I should have kept it.
Thank you.
Dr. Shoemaker chimed in on the inside. I asked the question, like, who gets bang for the buck? And kind of that question, we asked for specifics on each group and how effective they had been toward whatever area they had filled this past school year. And I would,
Is that a question, Mr. Richardson? Okay.
Our discussion, I remember where they had all of these things on there, and the question was asked. I asked the question is, how would we know that these things have been effective or these groups have been effective? And that's when we asked for clarification on getting something to show where it had been effective and it is effective versus us going back approving all this stuff at one time. And that's when I think Dr. Shoemaker made it kind of clarify bang for the buck thing. And that's why I said that we were doing, I didn't know we were just talking about 2 days, something that happened in the summertime. I thought we were talking about something going forward that was going to affect the school year coming up.
Ms. Young? You got another question? More questions? You good?
I think, so she's proposing for the next school year. What funds would these be paid from?
Yeah, February the 2nd, there was that approval for RL MAC for 80 days, 23-24 school year.
For 80 days, and at that time, we talked about if it went over into the. Okay, so did they fulfill their contract obligation?
It specifically said that was for the 23-24 school year. I'm looking at the minutes for the agenda from February the 2nd. Proposal was for 80 days for consulting for RL MAC consulting.
What's for? Council, for how many days? 80?
80, and that's for through the end of the 24 school year.
So they only did 70 days then.
Any more discussion? No. All in
I
favor?
can't get no more.
All in favor? Motion, ma'am? All 5. And item 6, Bailey Education Group LLC Educator Professional Support Proposal submitted by the Office of Superintendent of Student Services. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Dr. Brown, a second by Dr. Shoemake. Is there any discussion?
So the Baylor Group, out of 126 days, only did 118.
Any more questions? All in favor? Item 12, Dr. Margie Pulley, Leadership Support Consulting, submitted by the Office of Federal Programs. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion fails. All opposed? All in favor?
I thought we had voted for all in favor.
No, we didn't,
You did all
Let
in
me-
favor, 'cause I read
Yeah.
it.
yeah, I did, I didn't see anybody but myself.
Okay. Maybe I
Let's
need
do
to
it
raise
again,
it.
all in
Okay.
favor?
Okay.
Okay, all opposed? Okay. 3 in favor, 2 opposed, motion passes. Okay. Item 8C, dates to remember. Trying to see, did I miss something? Okay. Policy BCBD, number 1 is the academics. September 30th through the 4th, the Columbus Municipal School District has fall intercession. October 6th, 2024 is the end of the first 9 weeks. October 7 to 11, the Columbus Municipal School District fall break. Athletics, number 2, has an attachment. Item 3 are board meetings. October 2nd, Board of Trustees review meeting at Columbus Middle School at 11:30. October 14th, Board of Trustees regular meeting is at Brandon Central Services Center at 5:00 p.m. Item 9, closed determination for executive session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Shoemake. Audience, you are dismissed. Okay, thank you for joining us again. The board supported the recommendation of the superintendent for 2 student matters, and we approve regular meeting executive session minutes. Item 12, adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Young. All in favor? Have a good night. Thank you, Doc.